Well, hello and welcome to another video by Financial Learning. On today's video, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin mining sector. We're going to be looking at the short score rankings. Specifically, we're going to rank them based off of the short interest percent with respect to free float. We're going to look at the entire sector as a whole, compare that against last week's numbers, and then we're going to jump into the top 5 most shorted Bitcoin mining stock that I cover. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, and starting with the last price column, all of the green colored price are going to be the stocks that close green on Friday. And then of course the red ones would have closed red. Moving over to the share short value, and short percent, all of the cells that are filled green mean that the short interest has increased since the previous trading day period, and then the ones in red have decreased. And then you can see the one that doesn't have a red or a green, that one actually stayed flat for that difference in trading days. So, and when I say the difference in trading days, I'm talking about the Thursday trading day compared to the Friday trading day. And I'm using the Ortex data. I'm using a live short interest estimate from their website when I do my calculations, and you'll see some of that in the top 5 numbers. But moving over to the free float, you're going to see some of these cells that are highlighted yellow. Those are going to be the cells that had a change in the company's free float number compared to 1 week prior. And then if you look at the free float value, that's going to be the share price, the last price, and this is of the close of 4 o'clock on that Friday trading day. That's going to be the free float value, comparing the free float number times that last price. So if you look down at the total number of shares shorted for these 15 companies comes out at 573,347,000 shares. And look at that short value, total short value of 4.161 billion. Value. And then look at that short percent. It comes in at 18.65%. When we look back 1 week prior, it was at 18.35%. So about a 0.3% increase in short interest value for this entire Bitcoin sector. Now, another thing that you should keep in mind is we did have President Trump come out and sign an executive order this past week, basically starting that strategic Bitcoin reserve, as well as some other cryptocurrencies that he said that government will not sell. But I do think that this was very bullish news for the Bitcoin mining sector as a whole. So I am interested to see if we see additional states kind of joining suit, if we have a domino effect with additional Bitcoin reserves coming online for these different states, and then other countries, again, following in the US footsteps and opening up Bitcoin reserves. If that happens, I do feel like the liquidity for Bitcoin may start to dry up a little bit, and then you may have a supply-demand issue, and you could see the price of Bitcoin continuing to rise. That's just my speculation, but it will be interesting to see. I am still surprised to see a strong short interest in the Bitcoin mining sector. And if you want to take a look at what that short interest has done compared to a week prior, you can see the overall free float value has actually decreased by $470 million, about a 2.32% for this entire Bitcoin mining sector. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the top 5 most shorted Bitcoin mining stocks for this previous trading week. All right, coming in at number 5 on our list for the most shorted Bitcoin mining stocks is going to be BitDigital. That is ticker symbol BTBT. Taking a look at their short interest against free float, and this would be for the Thursday trading period. It came in at 22.97%. Looking back 1 week prior, it was 23.13%. So it actually is a decrease in short interest percent of free float for BitDigital. Moving over to days to cover, they're sitting at 1.9 days. And before we jump over to utilization, you can take a look at their trading graph there at the bottom left. I have that kind of broken out into just about the last month or so. So you can take a look and see how each day actually unfolded. And then moving over to utilization, they're sitting at a very high 91.79%. And again, utilization is going to be the number of shares sold short divided by the overall number of shares on loan. So again, utilization sitting very high for BTBT. Moving over to short score, it's at 69.77. And then jumping into Friday's live interest percent of free float, this would be that estimated amount. It's at 22.95%. So again, a decrease on short interest percent of free float for BTBT for that Friday trading period. And looking at Interactive Brokers short availability, last reported shares available at 3.4 million with a cost to borrow at 0.52%. All right, and coming in at number 4 on our list is RIOT Platforms. That is ticker symbol RIOT. They had a short interest percent of free float at 24.46%. Looking back, 1 week prior was at 23.56%. Looking at days to cover, sitting at 2.34 days, and the utilization sitting at just 54.29%, and the short score at 69.37. Moving down into live short interest percent of free float, this will be for that Friday trading period. They're sitting at 24.67%. So an increase on short interest percent of free float for that Friday trading period. And taking a look at Interactive Brokers short availability for RIOT, shares available last reported came in at 2.5 million with a cost to borrow at 0.47%. And coming in at number 3 on our list is Mara Holdings. That is ticker symbol MARA. They had a short interest percent of free float at 25.18%. Looking back 1 week prior, it was at 25.22%. So a small decrease on short interest percent of free float for Mara. Looking at days to cover, they're currently sitting at 2.08 days, and the utilization sitting rather high at 85.02%. Short score for Mara is at 73.79. Looking at that live short interest percent of free float, this would be that estimated value as of that Friday trading period. It's sitting at 25.2%. So a slight increase on short interest percent of free float for Mara. And looking at Interactive Brokers short availability, last reported shares available came in at 5.1 million with a cost to borrow at 0.55%. And coming in at number 2 on our list is TeraWulf. That is ticker symbol WULF. They had a short interest percent of free float at 27.06%. Looking back 1 week prior, it was at 26.59%. So a small increase on short interest percent of free float for TeraWulf. Looking at that, days to cover at 1.91 days, and the utilization sitting at 68.72%. Short score for Wolf sitting at 68.66. Moving down into live short interest percent of free float, this would be that Friday trading day estimate. They are sitting at 27.44%. So an increase on short interest percent of free float for TeraWulf. Looking at Interactive Brokers short availability, last reported shares available at just 500,000 shares with a cost to borrow at 0.57%. And coming in at number 1 on our list is CleanSpark. That is ticker symbol CLSK. They had a short interest percent of free float on Thursday at 28.17%. Looking back 1 week prior was at 27.62%. So an increase on short interest percent of free float for CleanSpark. Moving over to days to cover, currently at 2.88 days, and utilization sitting rather high at 86.23%. Moving over to short score, it's at 73.01. And then moving down into live short interest percent of free float, this will be estimated for that Friday trading period for CleanSpark. They are sitting at 28.84%. So again, an estimated increase on short interest percent of free float for CleanSpark. And moving down into Interactive Brokers short availability, last reported number of shares available at 1.4 million with a cost to borrow sitting at 1.25%. So that's a little bit high considering the number of shares still available. I'm wondering if we'll see shorts start to back down next week. Will CleanSpark lose its top spot here as the most shorted Bitcoin mining stock? Will the shorts decide to double down, and will they jump above that 29% threshold come next week? I am interested and very curious to see what takes place next week. Another thing that you need to know about CleanSpark is on Friday after hours, it was announced that they were added to the S&P 600 small cap fund. So again, there was some buying pressure after hours for CleanSpark. I'm wondering if we'll see any additional buying pressure come Monday for the company. What will that do for the short interest? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I am very interested and anxious myself. All right, and that wraps it up for me, folks. Hope you enjoyed this quick update on the Bitcoin mining sector. We took a look at how the entire sector as a whole was being shorted with respect to their free float. We did see a slight increase compared to 1 week prior for the overall sector. And then we jumped into the top 5 most shorted Bitcoin mining stocks in terms of the ones I'm covering. Love to hear your feedback on that. If you like this video, consider giving it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to turn on notifications so that you get my latest videos and content right when they become available. And then drop a comment. What do you think about the short interest for these Bitcoin miners? Do you think we'll start to see it change with President Trump's executive order? Will some of these states start to have their own Bitcoin reserves? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm very interested myself, would love to hear your feedback. And with all that said, hope you all have a great rest of your days, and I'll see you on the next one.